Hey everybody, welcome to Leon's Chainsaw Parts and Repair. I'm going to do this video for the second time because the first time when I tried to use this new Rode microphone, I didn't record anything. But this isn't all about my technical ineptitude. We have that Super EZ that I mentioned that stayed in the box for a couple of years due to some health problems and then didn't run on the way out. And when I got a picture of this, I went, oh, shizat, we had some damage in shipping. That big old crack right there. And this air box isn't sealed, and if I had to take a wild guess, I would guess that there's a crack down into the crankcase itself, but that has to be replaced. That crankcase, you know, the throttle handle mounts here and there and down below. That crankcase, once it's broken like that, it's done. It's garbage. There is nothing else that can be done with it. I'm not going to get into this real deep tonight because I don't have time. But we'll at least take a peek under the hood here. Hey now. And we'll see what we can see. Oh, jeez. That is cracked. Very much badly. Very much badly. I will try zooming in again. I don't know how well you guys are going to see it this time around. Right there. Right there. Nope, nope. Yep, yep. You can just see the crack back there. All the way down. So, again, I'm assuming that's why it wouldn't run coming out of the box. I'm going to check everything else while it's apart naturally. But, again, this is 2 years old. I don't remember what all I did. The fuel hose looks like it's still a Homelite hose. I may have used a piece of Homelite hose. I may not have. I don't remember. Would have gone through the carburetor, but the rest of this is a pretty clean saw. Yeah. I see a new spark plug in there. So, and I know the owner said it would fire on a prime, but it would not draw fuel. Okay, so this is where the damage is. I was assuming that that crack ran all the way down into the intake area itself. It looks like, at least from here, it doesn't look like it does. So I can't begin to tell you why the saw wouldn't start out of the box after 2 years, but this has to be fixed regardless. So I'm going to keep going with the teardown. Okay, we're down to where I can start reassembling. And it does not look like that crack actually went into the crankcase, so I will have to do some more work to figure out why it was not a successful attempt to start the saw. Why it was an attempt and not a success, however the hell you want to phrase that. I think you guys know what I mean at this point. Because this does not appear to be leaking around this intake. I think we'll take a quick look at the reed valve. And then I've got a bunch of parts that are going to need a big old bath. You bastard. Homelite did nobody any favors with the machining around these. What's the point of putting a hex set in there if you can't put a socket on it? Okay, reed valves are good. So I can't tell you why it wouldn't start. But I do that broken ear makes it impossible for this saw to ever be used. Where the hell? I swear. I have a... Here it is. God. You see all the damage there. Thankfully, I've got a good used crankcase on hand. Matches up perfectly for this early oil system. So, yeah. I had a bunch of cleaning to do. We'll come back. Okay. This saw has been occupying my workbench, well, for too long, quite frankly. I was going to say long enough, but it's been too long. Let's get it put back together. Hopefully, all the other stuff I've done hasn't lost too many screws. Alright. First things first, I want to put the rod bearings back in. And hopefully when I just bumped that mic, it wasn't too god-awful loud on camera. Sorry about that. Utilize an extra pair of hands there. Okay. Yeah, I got to get this saw put together, get it back to its owner, and then clean this mess up, because I am just done with it. Okay, so we got to remember this is a fractured rod cap, so there's only one way that it will go together properly. And by happenstance luck, I guessed right. But since I removed it this way, I need to make sure that I get the solid end of the wrist pin on the muffler side. Come on, focus. I might be coming in a little tight on that camera angle. Anyway, oh, look at that. I don't need a needle pulling loose. When you choose to remove it this way, you've got to be careful that you get it in there, lined up, and the right direction. And I've got to remember all my tricks for the Super EZ. This is one of the tightest little saws to work on with this style of rod. And I don't remember. Whoa! Ah! Yeah, see, my fingers, it's too big to be doing what I'm doing. It's definitely too big. I pushed a needle out and I pushed it back in. See how badly this goes. If this actually works on the first try, I'll be very happy. Realize you guys can't see squat, but there isn't much I can do to change that. Tight spot. Okay. Oh, got one started. And the other. The other thing you want to make sure that you have correct is make sure that the piston, well, the piston is oriented the right way as well. You want your rings to open up to the inside, away from that muffler port. Come on, you. Find an angle that you'll grip. There we go. So our rings are open here, and they're lined up with the anti-rotation pins. The elusive cylinder gasket is ready to go on. That is exactly what I was waiting on. These aftermarket gaskets actually seem to be a reasonable quality material. Okay, we need to prep the piston and cylinder with a little oil. Not a lot, just a bit. And hopefully not much. Oop, there's one. And there's almost two. Now this is where the cursing starts. I'm going to set the piston on the edge of one of those studs and see if I can get this to drop just a... No, I'm going to do damage if I do something like that. So where this gets to, it just barely... There we go. Starts on the second ring. Alright. There we go. Now we're past the point of danger. No harm, no foul. And no, I don't think I can put the box end on this. Oh, nope, I can't. Not enough room. So we'll do, whoop, micro. Come on, you. There you are. Told you guys before, well, Homelite might issue a torque spec for these. Good luck getting a torque wrench in there. Tight enough is, well, tight enough. Okie dokie. I think the vast majority of this is now going to be academic. We have video of it before, so I may condense some footage as we continue here. Okay, the rest of this is pretty academic. I'm going to go through the carburetor, drop a new fuel hose on, get starter on, and then we'll come back for a test run. The only reason I'm going through the carburetor is if this saw, well, it sat for 2 years in a box. When I run these things dry, I'm not running them dry. I anticipate folks getting them out and using them. So what I do is I drain the fuel tank, but I don't run the saw actually dry. I don't want it to take you 12, 15 pulls to start it when I've advertised far less than that for a normal start on a saw that's been, that has fuel in it. So there's at least the possibility that something went kablooey in there. One of those diaphragms hardened from whatever residual was left. I'm certainly going to take a look. Okay, I believe it is time for a test run. Compression is going to be artificially high at first due to the assembly oil. It's a good sign. It could stay running. What you doing? Okay, not bad. This thing has a lot of zing to it, and I know you know what I mean. Zing. Its throttle response is instantaneous. Not a bad thing. Not a bad thing at all. Alright, I'm going to finish putting it back together. Off camera, there's nothing left here of any real importance to take care of. It's all pretty basic is what I mean. I'll get it wrapped up, let it sit for a few days, give it one more cold fire. With any luck, this will go back to its owner, who after 2 years can get some use out of it. Catch you in the next video.